Do you ever find yourself waking up more than once a night, feeling drained and irritated, thinking it must just be because you're getting older? If that sounds familiar, you're not the only one. A lot of men assume that frequent nighttime urination, restless sleep, and waking up exhausted are simply part of aging. But what if that's not the full story? What most people don't realize is that some of the most ordinary things they do before bed, things that feel totally harmless, might actually be making their prostate symptoms worse. From what you eat and drink, to how you lie down, to even how you wind down mentally. These habits can quietly build up pressure, inflammation, and fatigue. And the worst part? You don't see it coming. That's exactly why this video exists, to help shine a light on those overlooked bedtime behaviors that might be quietly affecting your prostate health. This isn't about extreme changes or complicated medical solutions. It's about recognizing the small things you do every evening that could be working against your body and showing you how to change them one step at a time. In the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 7 common bedtime mistakes that may be silently irritating your prostate and interrupting your rest. Some might surprise you, and the last one is something so common almost everyone does it without thinking twice. Before we get started, take a second to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. It's a simple way to make sure you never miss out on practical, health-saving tips like these, and it helps support the channel so we can keep putting out content that matters. Now, let's dive in. Here are the 7 bedtime habits that could be hurting your prostate and how to turn them around starting tonight.
First, let's talk about something most people think they've already mastered: hydration. We're constantly told to drink more water for better health, and that advice isn't wrong. But here's what no one tells you. Drinking water too late in the day, especially close to bedtime, might actually be wrecking your sleep and silently making your prostate problems worse. It sounds counterintuitive, I know. You drink water to be healthy, yet it's one of the easiest ways to overload your bladder when your body's trying to shut down and recover. Let me explain what's happening inside your body. Throughout the day, your kidneys are filtering waste and your bladder stores urine until it's convenient for you to empty it. But at night, your body wants to slow everything down. It wants to rest, not keep managing fluid. If you're taking in large amounts of water, herbal tea, or even swallowing your evening meds with a full glass of liquid after 7 or 8 p.m., your bladder is going to stay active while your mind wants to sleep. That means your bladder fills up faster, and if your prostate is even slightly enlarged, the pressure builds more quickly. So instead of entering a deep, healing sleep, your body's getting nudged awake to take bathroom trips, sometimes 2, 3, even 4 times a night. I remember one of my patients, a retired history teacher named Paul, who came to me exhausted. He wasn't getting more than a couple hours of uninterrupted sleep and thought he had a serious sleep disorder. He'd tried melatonin, he'd stopped drinking coffee after noon, he even bought blackout curtains. Nothing worked. What finally made the difference? Simply shifting the bulk of his fluid intake earlier in the day. You see, Paul had a habit of sipping on chamomile tea before bed, thinking it would calm him down. It was calming, sure, but it also filled his bladder right when his body needed rest. Once he started finishing most of his fluids before 6 p.m. and only took a few sips after that, his nighttime wake-ups dropped dramatically within a week. Now, I'm not saying to cut down on water altogether. Hydration is essential, but the timing of your water intake is just as important as the amount. Aim to drink the majority of your water before dinner. Try tapering off your liquids after that, especially during the last 2 hours before bed. If you need to take medications in the evening, ask your doctor if any of them can be moved to an earlier time. And if that's not possible, just use the smallest amount of water necessary to take them. It's a small shift, but the payoff, more restful sleep, less bladder pressure, and better prostate recovery, can be huge.
Second, let's take a look at something nearly everyone does these days, flipping on the TV or scrolling through a phone in bed, thinking it's a harmless way to unwind. It feels comforting, right? You've had a long day, you finally get to lie down, and catching up on your favorite show or browsing through social media feels like the perfect way to relax. But here's the truth most people miss.
This habit isn't just messing with your sleep, it's quietly creating a storm of problems for your prostate. Now, let's start with the science. When you're staring at a screen, TV, tablet, or smartphone, your eyes are being flooded with blue light. That blue light suppresses your body's natural production of melatonin, the hormone responsible for helping you fall asleep and stay asleep. Without enough melatonin, your body doesn't transition smoothly into deep sleep, the kind of sleep your body needs to reduce inflammation, repair tissue, and regulate hormonal cycles. That includes the tissues and systems around your bladder and prostate. But there's another issue people often ignore. When you're watching screens in bed, you're usually lying still for long periods. That prolonged stillness, especially if you're on your back or reclined in the same position night after night, reduces blood flow to your lower abdomen. And guess where the prostate sits? Right in that zone of compromised circulation. Less blood flow means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching the area, which slows down healing and recovery. It also makes it harder for the prostate to calm down if it's already inflamed or enlarged. I had one patient, Dennis, who came in complaining about constant nighttime urination. He swore he was doing everything right. No caffeine after lunch, limited alcohol, low-sodium diet. But he also admitted to a 2-hour YouTube routine every night before bed, lying in bed with his tablet resting on his chest. Once I asked him to limit screen exposure after 9 p.m., replace it with light stretching or reading a paperback novel instead, his sleep improved noticeably within 2 weeks. He still watched his videos, just earlier in the evening, and his bladder started waking him up far less. So if you're someone who spends the last moments of your day bathed in screen light, consider making a shift. Turn off the devices at least 30 minutes before bedtime. Give your body, and more importantly, your brain, a chance to wind down naturally. You can replace that screen time with something simple and effective. A short walk, a breathing exercise, or even listening to relaxing music. These alternatives not only preserve your melatonin levels, but also improve pelvic circulation by getting your body moving, even just a little. It's easy to overlook the long-term effects of our evening routines, especially when they feel like stress relievers.
Third, let's talk about something a lot of people don't like to discuss: constipation. It's not exactly dinner table conversation, but when it comes to prostate health, it absolutely should be. You see, going to bed while still constipated might seem like a minor issue you can deal with tomorrow, but what's actually happening inside your body could be making your nights miserable and your prostate more inflamed than you realize. Here's what's going on beneath the surface. When your intestines are backed up, when stool hasn't moved through properly, it causes bloating and creates added pressure in your abdominal cavity. And anatomically speaking, the colon is located very close to both the bladder and the prostate. That means if your intestines are full when you lie down at night, they press against the bladder and prostate, squeezing and irritating them, even if you're not aware of it. This pressure can make your bladder more sensitive, increasing the urge to urinate even if it's not full. That's why some people wake up feeling like they have to go, only to release a small amount and still feel uncomfortable afterward. I remember one particular patient, George, who was in his early 70s and constantly frustrated by how often he had to get up at night to urinate. What was interesting was that all his blood work looked fine, and his fluid intake was reasonable. But one simple question changed everything. How often do you have a bowel movement? Turns out, George was only going every 2 or 3 days and felt bloated almost every evening. Once we addressed his constipation by adding more fiber to his diet, increasing his daytime water intake, not evening, and walking after dinner, his nighttime urgency dropped dramatically. He even told me it was the first time in years he'd slept through the night without getting up. Constipation may seem unrelated to prostate health, but in reality, it's a hidden contributor to pelvic stress. When your bowel is full, there's less space for the bladder to expand, meaning even small amounts of urine can feel urgent. On top of that, chronic constipation slows down circulation in the pelvic region, making it harder for your prostate to receive the oxygen and nutrients it needs to heal and function properly. To correct this, start with your plate. Eat more foods that are naturally high in fiber, like leafy greens, prunes, kiwi, and whole grains. These not only support digestion, but also reduce inflammation throughout the body. If your diet alone isn't cutting it, consider talking to your doctor about magnesium citrate or a gentle fiber supplement to help regulate your bowel movements. And don't underestimate the power of movement. A short walk after dinner can work wonders in getting things moving so you don't go to bed with a heavy, pressurized abdomen. The more you reduce abdominal congestion, the more room you give your bladder and prostate to rest at night. It's about clearing the internal traffic so your organs can finally breathe. And speaking of clearing things out, there's one habit that seems so small, people often skip it without a second thought.
Fourth, let's turn our attention to something that takes less than a minute to do, but can have a massive impact on your night: going to the bathroom before bed. And no, I don't mean only when you feel like you need to. I'm talking about making it a consistent, intentional habit, even when the urge is mild or not there at all. Skipping that final trip to the bathroom may seem harmless, but for older men, especially those with an enlarged prostate, that choice can quietly cause repeated awakenings, discomfort, and even long-term irritation. Here's the thing. Your bladder rarely empties 100% unless you deliberately give it time and space to do so. Especially with age and prostate enlargement, a small amount of residual urine is common. Now, while that leftover urine might not bother you during the day, it becomes a big deal at night. Why? Because as you sleep, your body's not actively managing that leftover volume. Instead, that residual urine sits there, building pressure and irritating the bladder lining. Even just a little bit can create a false sense of urgency that jolts you awake, making you feel like you have to pee, when in reality, it's only a few drops. One patient of mine, Eduardo, was convinced something was wrong with his prostate. He would wake up at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes even 5 a.m., always with that nagging sensation that he needed to urinate. But every time, the amount was tiny. When I asked him if he had a consistent pre-sleep bathroom routine, he shrugged and said, "Only if I feel like it." That was the missing piece. Once he started making it a non-negotiable part of his evening, even sitting for a minute or two to relax and fully empty his bladder, he began sleeping longer stretches, and the frequent interruptions stopped within days. The fix here is simple but powerful. Always make time to use the bathroom before bed, even if your bladder doesn't seem full. Take a moment to sit, breathe deeply, and give your body the chance to release what's left. This small act doesn't just help your bladder, it gives your prostate the break it needs to recover, reduces inflammation risk, and helps you move into a deeper, more restorative sleep cycle. Now, even if you've taken care of that step, hydrated at the right times, emptied your bladder, maybe even stretched before bed, there's another habit that could be working against you without you even realizing it. This one hides in plain sight, disguised as something comforting, even delicious. But in reality, it's one of the sneakiest contributors to nighttime urination and chronic prostate discomfort.
Fifth in our list is the habit of snacking on salty foods late at night. Chips, crackers, pretzels, processed meats. These seem like innocent indulgences when you're winding down for the evening. But if you regularly end your day with high-sodium snacks, you're unknowingly putting your prostate and bladder under pressure, especially when you lie down to sleep. Here's what happens physiologically. Sodium causes your body to retain fluid. That excess water gets trapped in your tissues throughout the day, especially in your legs and lower body if you've been sitting or standing for hours. But when you lie down, gravity shifts. That retained fluid gets reabsorbed into your bloodstream and filtered by your kidneys. The result? You produce more urine just when you're trying to sleep. That extra urine means more pressure in your bladder, more urgency, and more late-night trips to the bathroom. One example I'll never forget is from a former construction worker named Marvin. He was retired, healthy, active, and still waking up 3 times a night, every single night. His water intake was perfect, no signs of diabetes, and he had a solid pre-sleep bathroom habit. But after we dug deeper into his evenings, it came out that he liked snacking on cured meats and salted peanuts while watching TV at night. The moment he replaced those with a banana or a spoonful of unsweetened yogurt, his nightly bathroom visits dropped to just 1, or sometimes none. If salty snacks are your weakness, don't worry. You don't have to give up all evening treats. You just need to switch to low-sodium, prostate-friendly options. Think soft fruit, roasted pumpkin seeds, or a few slices of avocado. And always read nutrition labels. You'd be surprised how much sodium is hidden in foods that don't even taste all that salty. It's these little adjustments, shifting when you hydrate, choosing how you snack, making time for a bathroom break, that build a foundation for better prostate health.
Sixth, let's talk about something that doesn't involve food, screens, or even fluid, but instead how you position your body when you sleep. Most people don't give this much thought. You get into bed, turn off the lights, and curl up in whatever way feels most comfortable. For a surprising number of men, that position happens to be lying flat on the stomach. It might help you fall asleep faster or feel cozy in the moment, but over time, sleeping on your stomach becomes one of the most physically damaging habits for your prostate without you even realizing it. Here's why. When you lie on your stomach, your full body weight presses down on your abdominal region. That means your lower abdomen, including your bladder, pelvic muscles, and yes, your prostate, is getting squashed for hours on end. This pressure doesn't just cause minor discomfort, it actually compresses blood vessels in that area, reducing circulation to the very tissues that need healing overnight. And when your prostate doesn't get the oxygen and nutrient-rich blood flow it needs, it becomes more prone to irritation, inflammation, and swelling. This isn't theory, it shows up in real patients. I once worked with a retired truck driver named Leon, who was in good shape but had persistent issues with hesitant urination and a nagging feeling of incomplete emptying. After ruling out infection and adjusting diet and fluid intake with no major changes, we reviewed his sleep patterns. That's when he mentioned he always slept on his stomach, hugging a pillow, often for 6 to 8 hours straight. I suggested a side sleeping adjustment with a small pillow between his knees to support hip alignment. It was a tough change at first, but within 2 weeks, Leon noticed he wasn't waking up to pee as often, and the pressure he felt in his lower abdomen began to fade. If you're used to sleeping on your stomach, changing your position might feel uncomfortable at first, but your body can adapt and benefit. Side sleeping, particularly on your left side, is one of the best positions for pelvic circulation. Placing a pillow between your knees helps reduce spinal tension and keeps your lower body relaxed. If you find yourself rolling onto your stomach during the night, try using a body pillow or positioning smaller pillows around your torso to act as gentle barriers. Rest should be the most healing time of your day, but when your sleep posture works against you, your prostate never gets that opportunity to recover. And that recovery is especially important when you consider what's happening not just physically, but mentally right before you drift off to sleep. Because no matter how healthy your behaviors are on the outside, there's one internal factor that could still be quietly inflaming your prostate every single night.
Seventh, and possibly the most underestimated of all, is the habit of going to bed stressed. This one's tricky because stress doesn't always show up as loud thoughts or emotional breakdowns. Sometimes it's just a quiet weight in your chest. Maybe it's worry about finances, your family, your health, or even just the unknowns that come with getting older. Whatever form it takes, stress doesn't disappear when the lights go out. It stays with you, activating a biological chain reaction that has serious consequences for your prostate. When you're stressed, your body shifts into fight or flight mode. That triggers your sympathetic nervous system, which increases heart rate, tightens blood vessels, and floods your body with cortisol, the stress hormone. Now, cortisol itself isn't evil, but when it remains elevated over time, it contributes to systemic inflammation, hormone disruption, and even a drop in testosterone levels. All of these are directly linked to prostate enlargement, urinary issues, and poor sleep. It's a cycle. Stress worsens inflammation, which disrupts sleep, which prevents healing, which causes more stress, and around it goes. I once had a patient named Carl who'd been dealing with prostate discomfort for years and had tried nearly everything: diet changes, supplements, hydration routines, but nothing seemed to stick. It wasn't until I asked about his nightly routine that he opened up about his worries. Every night, he said, he would lie awake replaying conversations, fretting over his future, and feeling completely unable to relax. We introduced a short evening ritual: 5 minutes of deep breathing, followed by writing down 3 things he was grateful for. Within 2 weeks, he was sleeping more soundly. Within a month, his symptoms started to fade. Managing stress before bed isn't about eliminating all your problems. It's about creating space to disconnect from them. Even a small act like listening to calming music, meditating for a few minutes, or journaling can signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax. And when your mind unwinds, your body can finally shift from survival mode into healing mode. So whether it's the way you hydrate, the way you snack, how you lie in bed, or how you manage your thoughts, every choice you make before sleep can either support your prostate or slowly wear it down. The good news is that these habits aren't set in stone, and the moment you begin to shift them, even just a little, you begin giving your body the chance it's been waiting for to truly rest, repair, and restore.
If you've made it this far, I want to say thank you. It means you're someone who's willing to take responsibility for your health, and that already sets you apart. What we've talked about today isn't magic. It's not a pill or a miracle cure. It's awareness. And more importantly, it's action. Your body doesn't ask you to be perfect. It just needs you to be consistent. Small daily choices, like drinking water at the right time, choosing the right snacks, adjusting how you sleep, and letting go of stress can help your prostate heal and your nights become peaceful again. I'll never forget one of my longtime patients, Michael. He was skeptical at first, thought these habits sounded too simple to make a difference. But after a few weeks of shifting his routine, cutting back fluids after dinner, turning off the TV 30 minutes earlier, and using the bathroom before bed, he slept through the night for the first time in years. And with better sleep came better energy, sharper focus, and even a boost in his mood. All from small, thoughtful changes. That's the power of giving your body the care it deserves. Not dramatic overhauls, just steady attention and respect. So if you've been struggling with nighttime urination, broken sleep, or lingering discomfort, don't ignore it. Your body is speaking to you, and now you know how to listen and how to respond. If this video helped you, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss upcoming videos packed with practical tips for men's health. And if there's someone in your life, a brother, a father, a friend, who's over 60 and might benefit from this, share this video with them. You could change the way they sleep and possibly the course of their health. Until next time, take care of yourself, one night at a time.